Hello, adventurers! Today we're continuing in our review of the 50 D&D Tips for Dungeon Masters post from the MT Black Games blog. We found a few excellent tips this time and a few that are, not great. The link to the blog post is in the show notes for you to read along with us, and make sure you listen to episodes 43 and 48 to get caught up. Also, I want to remind everyone that this is an open call for horror stories. Send us your RPG horror story, and if we like it, we'll cover it on a Friday episode. And if we really like it, we'll invite you on to read it to us yourself. So how much gold can we find before hitting a trap? Find out with us as we tackle tips numbers 21 through 30. Everybody roll initiative.
Sometimes talking with friends feels like role-playing. Sometimes it feels like combat. Join us at the round table and roll initiative. This is Curmudgeons and Dragons.
Guys, hello. Welcome back to Curmudgeons and Dragons. My name is Jason Fortizo.
Is it? Are you sure?
I'm not sure of anything anymore. My allergies are so fucking bad right now that I don't know.
Is that why your eyes are all red? It's okay,
I wasn't sure how noticeable it was, but I can barely see you right now.
I thought you were just having a good cry.
No, I'm about to if this gets any worse. You can tell by the amount of razzing that I'm taking right now that Josie and Greg are at least here.
Well, hello there.
Jim's being a good noodle, waiting his turn to speak.
I had my COVID booster yesterday, so I'm running at about. I'm running like half empty here, so I would have joined in if I were 100%. So sorry
I was about
that.
to tell everyone that you are a gold star good noodle, and you just went and undermined my entire line of thought.
Yeah,
because he's getting used to being on this show. I was saying this is actually a perfect time for me to go get my booster because I already feel like shit.
Mm-hmm. And exactly.
I might as well just
roll it all up.
Just bury myself now and, make myself suffer. I'm already suffering. Why not? Today, we are continuing going down this article of top 50 D&D tips for Dungeon Masters. This is on mtblackgames.com on his blog. I clicked around the rest of his blog. This is pretty good stuff. So shout out to MT Black Games. And a link to this article, once again, will be in the show notes. You can read along with us. And check out the first 2 episodes in this series. We've already done one episode for tips 1 through 10, one for 11 through 20. And today we're going to tackle tips 21 through 30. You guys ready to jump right into this?
I'm hyped. Mm-hmm. I'm super ready. I'm excited to tackle specifically one of these.
We got 10 things to talk about, and analytics show me that 30 minutes is our best length episode. So here we go. Number 21. Add simple lair actions to weak monsters to spice up low-level boss fights.
What is a lair action?
Jim, Greg?
A special action like higher CR monsters can take usually the beginning of initiative for layered actions.
Yeah, or at a fixed point in initiative, like the layer action goes off every turn on 20 or something
typically
like
it's 20, yeah. And I just do want to, it's usually the environment that's doing the action, not the monster itself.
Yeah.
Although usually higher CR monsters are found in environments that have layer actions.
Yeah.
Can we make this into a Pokemon reference? Is it the weather conditions?
It's kind of like weather. It's kind of like terrain, kind of like stuff like that. So like, Tyranitar being buffeted by the sandstorm is kind of like a layer action.
Okay.
If you're fighting a red dragon in a volcano and, once a turn, some lava jets erupt. And if you're in the wrong place, you get like blasted by lava or something like that. That's a lair action.
Okay.
Yeah. Or other board games like Sentinels of the Multiverse, it would be like the environment turn.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to legendary actions, which which is a little closer to what Greg was explaining, where the monster itself is the one doing the action. And yes, Sentinels of the Multiverse is fantastic. I was all excited that I had every single expansion, and then they redid the whole game, and now I have nothing. But what do you guys think of giving a handful of kobolds some lair actions at low levels?
Like kobolds in particular, that have a lair that's like all trapped up and stuff like that.
They're my favorite little punching
really
bags.
Neat. Yeah.
I even think this is kind of cool for like having the environment be the enemy, to where like the lair actions can still hurt the bad guys too. The kobolds can die to a lava jet.
Sure, if you shove them into it the turn before it's going to happen or something like that.
Oh yeah, cast hold person on them over the little jet,
or just get your Barbie boy to just hold them there.
Yeah,
But then he'll burn his little hams.
He gets resistance if you're
Yeah,
dodging.
but you don't have to go out of your way to hurt him. You can cast a magic spell.
Barbs are not that smart.
No.
The other thing that this can be good for is if you have like a countdown effect or something that's getting like, like if you're in the evil temple and they're summoning a creature, and every turn on 20, something happens as the summoning proceeds.
Yeah.
Or
and like the effect can be different. It can be different every turn if you want to do
this
it
is
that way.
a turn
To
tracker.
run with your red
without-
dragon in the volcano, every turn the volcano gets a little closer to erupting. Maybe some rumbles, some things falling from the ceiling.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a way to
gestures
like
I make.
give your players a turn tracker without like being like, hey guys, we have 3 turns, like going above the table for it.
And that's also the thing where if you want to have like a room that's filling with sand or filling with water or something like that,
Yes.
you do that as kind of a lair action on a particular initiative turn.
This is cool for like hostages in other rooms too, so you don't really know what's happening with them. You can just say, on initiative 20, something happens. Who's next? And like now players don't know what's going on. We alluded to something like this. Greg and Jim, you guys weren't with us yet. This might have been our first DM Academy episode, where Jack and I were going through a few things, and we mentioned having a real-time, real-world clock and having things happen. Now players have to make decisions quickly in real time.
I've always wanted to implement that. I've never had the situation occur where I could,
Yeah.
but I love that idea.
I do love the idea of like mixing up real world time with game time, because they go by Dragon Ball rules where just like time doesn't matter.
You mean real world rules where time isn't real?
I mean, Dragon Ball rules where time is even less real than real world rules. Or plot twist, Dragon Ball rules is actual time and we're the weird ones.
I argue with my friend George all the time because he's like, time is real. It's just that it's a construct. So shout out to George. I still think you're fucking wrong.
Number 22. Every time you call for a death saving throw, ask the player for a memory that flashes before their eyes.
Love this.
Oh, I
love-
love
Yeah.
that so much. We're getting into like the meat and potatoes of this.
We're getting to the
fucking
good stuff
list.
here. I feel like he wrote these in order that he thought of them, and after he got through the quick ones, he started digging a little bit
Mhm.
and got some cool ones.
I love having death saves matter. I like to do something a little different, which is I will ask the player, what does death look like? What is your version? Like if they're a
Mhm.
cleric, what's death from your
Ooh.
pantheon or something like that? And, like it's the thing where like death or an avatar of death, on their turn, they're unconscious, but they can have some kind of like, okay, you're at the gates of death. You haven't passed on yet. Let's do a round of conversation with death or conversation with the Valkyrie that showed up to see whether she's going to carry you back or something like that.
Yeah.
But to have
Amazing.
the role actually matter and not just be roll and yes or no, and then you
Right.
just skip over.
You can use a
Great.
scenario like that one to have like some sort of divine class, whether a cleric, paladin, or even like a warlock or something, who may be questioning their faith. And
Yeah, sure.
The god that they meet is not the one they've been following.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's possible.
this could be the catalyst to get them onto a different deity.
I also kind of like the idea that like if it's a warlock, the patron can be like, oh God, I knew I screwed up giving that power to you. You've been such a disappointment.
Or
Ah.
better, have him be the father, like give him the pep talk.
Yes,
yeah.
yeah,
All right.
yeah. Come
All right.
on, you can do it.
All right,
Yeah,
sport,
Turns
choke
into
up-
a big
choke
fuck
up on
off
the back,
lion
you got
made out
this.
of clouds.
exactly.
You have forgotten.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the James Earl Jones voice. Yeah, there you go.
And this goes into a huge like list of things we could talk about that we're not going to get into. Maybe this could be a whole episode where things that are strictly mechanical, like death saves, and making them not feel mechanical.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of mechanics in the game that can just be like purely mechanics, purely die rolls, and they can be kind of boring. So this is a good way to spice those up. I'm sure we can find other examples too. So that
Yeah, love this. This is a great one.
23. If you want to make your major NPCs more interesting and playable, give each of them a juicy secret.
I like this one too. Even minor NPCs, it just kind of helps the world feel lived in and not just cookie cutter blacksmith or
I used to be an
shop
adventurer
owner.
like you. Then I took an arrow to the knee.
yeah,
Snooze.
it makes things feel less video gamey in my opinion.
I'm going to tack onto this one.
Yeah.
The juicy secret don't feel like you have to make all of the juicy secrets bad ones.
Oh yeah.
Not
Thank you.
every friendly NPC
That's what I
is
was
going
gonna
to
say,
betray your party.
One of them could be a master crochet artist. Every time you come in to the town, somebody has crocheted a new welcome sign. It's your bud.
What was the
Barkeep.
what they call it, knit bombing or yarn bombing when they just when they knit
yeah.
scarves
Oh, yeah.
on trees and stuff.
I would love to be in a campaign where somebody works yarn bombing into it.
And it's like the huge gruff blacksmith that is like the picture of masculinity, and he just
Yeah, who's the
He-
bitch from Tangled that collects ceramic unicorns? That guy.
still haven't seen it. So I can remember.
Unbelievable.
Number 24. For fights at higher levels, round hit points and damage to the nearest 5. This makes the math much easier.
I mean, you can do that.
Yeah.
You can also just have a little calculator.
Yeah, we live in the age of technology.
I don't think the math is that hard.
Why is the problem higher? Like, maths. I guess they say maths for like subtracting hit points and that kind of thing. That's
Yeah,
I don't
but like
Are they saying like when you're making the higher level fight to make it like 295 instead of 293 hit points?
they're
Like,
saying
Yeah, I
round the
think
HP
so.
and they're saying around the damage also.
mm.
So they're
so
swing for hits for 7. Okay, well, they just
I mean,
now
I
bring down
guess
to 5
if you
and hoping that it
don't
all
like
averages
math.
out later. Like for every 7 you roll that gets down to a 5, you're going to roll 8s that go up to 10. Like how
Yeah.
hard is math? It's not
This-
that bad.
this makes no sense to me, because if the problem that you're having is, oh my God, subtraction is hard, you just do it additively rather than like having 300 next to the monster that you cross out and then go, 243. If somebody does 57 points of damage to it, you just start at 0 and go to 57 and then add as you go. And then once it hits 300, it's dead. And that's really not that tough to do. Like I hate math.
Yeah.
And this doesn't
yeah,
seem
exactly.
like rounding feels like more work to me than
Right.
Yeah,
just
it does.
doing
Right.
basic arithmetic.
And here's the other
Yeah.
thing: if you're afraid that you're gonna fuck up your addition or subtraction, just use the goddamn calculator.
Yeah.
Your phone has one. Your computer has one. You could actually probably find a Texas Instrument somewhere.
I feel like the big boogeyman of Common Core math that your racist uncle is afraid of. I think this is what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I think this is the only Common Core math he's ever heard of, and this seems pretty bad. Let's get to a good tip. Number 25. I hope this is better. Ask one of your players to handle initiative tracking.
Why?
I think
yeah.
we've hit the section of these tips where the DM doesn't want to DM anymore.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
This is like if you want to put more of the responsibility onto the other players, be like, here you go, have the initiative just get a fucking initiative tracker.
They make really cool ones on
They do
Etsy.
make cool ones.
or just take some note cards, write out 1 through 10, and as initiative is rolled, hand them out and go, this is the order. I don't know why you would have a player handle initiative.
You should have an open pen and paper next to you anyway. Just jot it down.
Yeah.
Some people have a fucking whiteboard behind them that they write it on.
I use 3x5 cards. I always have a big stack of 3x5 cards. And then every character in the campaign gets their name written on the top of the 3x5 card in Sharpie. And then when I do my prep, I'm like, here's some monsters we might have. I might jot those down. But for the most part, fight starts, I jot down orcs on 3 cards. Everybody rolls initiative, shuffle them up into the order that they're supposed to go in. And then it's just, whoever's
Just
on
start
top, they
rifling,
go.
yep.
Flip it to the next one, they go. Flip it to the next one, they go.
Have
They
one
say-
have big one, a nice bold letter says layer action.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If they say I want to hold, I just turn it sideways, but it stays in the stack until they go, like that kind of thing.
I'm
It's-
curious to know what the list writer, their frame of mind, they're thinking about this particular one. Like, why is this in the list? I think it needs further extrapolation beyond. Ask one of your players to handle initiative tracking. Maybe give us a why.
I mean, and if you're going to do that, first of all, ask for a volunteer,
Yeah.
and if they're going to do it, give them some kind of reward for doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And it doesn't have to be an in-game reward. It could be a fucking cookie.
It
like,
could
hey, I
be.
got-
It could be a big cookie like Greg has.
Yeah.
Had. Well,
Had.
I guess I
Sorry,
still
had.
have it.
It's no longer in the
It's
shape of big cookie.
now
No.
in his tummy.
It's hard to see
Yay.
whether or not this blog is still active, or else I might try to reach out to the to the author here and see if he wants to chime in on a couple of these weird ones.
Also, like in terms of like giving a player a reward, I don't know how I feel about giving a player an in-game reward for like above the table.
For being an IRL good
things.
noodle, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. But the initiative cards, I mean, like a lot of DMs will have like player cheat sheets that'll have like, but it might have some stuff like HP, which I don't know if it's some DMs will debate whether or not they should be tracking their players' HP, but you should at least have like their passive wisdom, their passive perception.
AC for sure.
AC definitely.
You know what? If you want to do the rounding tip from what was it, last one? Yeah. Do that with your player's HP. So like, in the ballpark who's getting focused a lot and who's kind of like not getting targeted. So you can even out the fight a little bit more.
Depends on what the monster is and how hardcore your campaign is. If you're trying to play in easy mode, sure. If you got new players, then yeah, spread it out a little bit. But again, I've got next to me here all 3 versions of Keith Amon's books.
The monsters know what they're doing.
Yeah. More monsters know what they're doing.
And the first thing the monsters do is concentrate fire, just like the player characters do. If you're going to be a
some do. Most of them
Fair
do.
enough.
Be like, that guy looks real big and strong and scary. Let's shoot all of our arrows at that one.
I think you should fight your fights as the monsters and not as your DM, who's your friend.
Yeah,
and wants to be nice and fair about everything. But that's for my 50 tips. Number 26. Include some easy fights to allow the characters to feel strong and heroic.
Yep, pretty straightforward.
Yeah, definitely.
Makes sense to me.
If you're following the DMG for the adventuring day, you're going to be doing that anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, not every fight you have to walk away from bloodied and like limping.
Well, you are legendary heroes. Sometimes you want to feel like one. I mentioned NADPOD a lot on the show, and there's an early fight in campaign 1 where they're up against these goat people that are kind of masochistic. And all they really say is like in like their goat voice, like, we're super fucked up. We love dying.
Oh yeah.
Oh dear.
And the background music kicks up and it's like metal riffs, like, and you just know it's going to be a bloodbath. And I think that was the episode where he decided he was going to start using cleave rules. And he just like, you're cutting through 2 or 3 of them at once. Like every now and again, you need that moment where it's like, oh, right. I forgot I'm a legendary hero.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
1,000% off this one.
If you want to, like, let's say your party decided to take a long rest in the middle of the forest without, like, checking their surroundings or setting up camp or having somebody on watch or whatever, you can have them be come upon by a group of goblins that it's, like, inconvenient that they woke them up, but it's like, let's, like, bang it out real quick.
It's also especially cool to have a fight that is an easy fight that used to be a hard fight.
Yes.
To see how far we've come.
If you nearly get TPK'd by, like a couple of trolls, and then 4 levels later, you can just smoke them. You definitely want to include that in there, so that, because in terms of contrast, like you say, not only are they heroes, but they're getting better at being heroes. Mm-hmm. That's one of the ways you underline that.
All right, 27. And Josie, I know you were super excited about this one. This is actually
I'm
great.
so hype about this.
I love this.
Oh no.
Number 27, try using props such as a wig or a pipe to differentiate your NPCs.
I think that's the funniest shit ever.
God forbid your DM is fun.
Are you thinking of the one episode of Avatar with the one guy that's all of his cousins and brothers just in different hats and mustaches? That's
no,
what
I'm thinking of the IT crowd when they play D&D.
If you have a Josie and a half in your group, you will be in a situation where you are forced to have an argument between the NPCs with the most complex props.
I'm sorry, I thought this game was supposed to be fun.
Listen, I'm just saying, as a precautionary tale.
Why am I a Josie and a half? Who's the half?
I'm saying if you have a Josie and like someone who supports that Josie, you're going to be doing this.
Yeah, see no problems here. Like, I know that's supposed to be a downside, but you're only making this sound more fun. Go to a dollar store, go to a thrift store, go grab some junk stuff. Keep it in a dark plastic tote so no one can see what's in them.
And then you, as the DM, just pop on the cowboy hat or whatever.
Just have some fun. Just have some stupid fun. Don't let your players shame you out of it. This is great.
Yeah, put a little chaos back on the table.
Yeah. You can do something similar. We play a lot through Zoom and through things like that. It's like, Zoom has its own filters built in.
Zoom just added avatars, though.
Okay.
It's a new there's Zoom avatars in beta now. And in fact, on one of the other gaming discords that I'm on, someone was like, holy shit, this changes everything, for our gaming over Zoom. So
you can also and you can integrate this into Zoom by selecting it as your camera source. We've all seen that video of the lawyer who was turned into a cat. And he's like, I'm not a cat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jim, if you want to link
Sounds
that
exactly
video
like
in
something a cat would say.
Right. Jim, throw that video in the show notes too, because it's hysterical and I want to watch it.
Yeah.
If not for them, do it for me. But that filter came from an app called Snap Camera. It's taking all the Snapchat filters and puts them onto your desktop. And
nice.
There's thousands and thousands and thousands of things you can do in there. And even just through those, you can have them as shortcuts. I think you can even assign keyboard stroke shortcuts to changing your filters. So that could be another way of dealing with differentiating your NPCs. And we mentioned this on a past episode where by the voice acting alone, your players should know who they're talking to without you saying who they're talking to.
Yeah, and posture and the way that you hold your head and stuff like that. All of those kind of like TV acting techniques,
actual
kind
acting,
of camera acting techniques and stuff are all apply there. But what do we? I mean, we're probably a decade, maybe tops, away from just being able to I press a key and I'm a lizard man. I press a key and I'm a sea hag. I press a key and I'm a dragon, kind of thing like that. So, online gaming, there's lots of possibilities for that.
You can do that on Snap Camera. And if anybody listening has filters that they like to turn themselves into other characters, if you do this or if you were inspired by this, please DM us and let us know which filters you're using.
Send us your critter filters.
Yeah, I'll put together a list of them.
I would love to further disrupt the recording of this podcast by changing my appearance every 10 seconds.
Which is great for an audio-only show. Thanks. Good job, Josie.
It's not for them, it's for you, babe.
Number 28, and I feel like this one should be a gimme, but I like that it's spelled out and it's a reminder to actually do it. Number 28, give a short recap of the last session at the start of every game.
Please.
Yeah.
This is almost not even worth putting on the list just because it's such a gimme.
You'd be surprised how many people don't do that, though.
Exactly.
I
That's why it needs to be there. Yeah. I mean, and there's different ways to do it, but boy, coming up with some kind of system for it makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, just because 30 minutes have passed in the campaign doesn't mean a week hasn't passed for y'all who are playing.
I play 3 or 4 hours at a time once every 2 weeks. I am so game deprived, and literally no time passes in the.
Yeah.
I don't have the physical ability to recall that much information that long away unless I'm taking meticulous notes, and I have a processing disorder. I can't take notes and also listen.
I've seen your notes. They are amazing. You have the best handwriting I've ever seen.
I watch recorded lectures and I pause them. I read the captions.
Jimmy, you mentioned having a structured way of doing it. How do you handle that at your table?
I'm a big fan of doing the TV style previously on kind of montage at the beginning.
Beautiful.
And ask each of the players to say, give us 1 or 2 scenes that your character were in and kind of just a quick recap of them. And then if there's anything I want to add as the DM, then I can do and then there's that thing where we saw the villain doing this, or, the tavern keeper did this other thing, rather than have it be just reading off a list of, whatever, a bulleted list of things that happened in the last game, to kind of be the first little bit of role playing to kind of get it, break the ice, is narrate a scene or, even if it's just, like I said, 5 or 10 seconds, that kind of gets everybody in the mood and, makes that break between.
I also like it to do it from their character's point of view. What happened?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think the big differentiation here by spelling it out is the difference between giving an actual recap and being hey, so you guys left off here. Here's what we're doing today. It has to be more than just okay, here's where you already are. You gotta and you can use this if you have plans for that session to harp on something that came up last session. You'd be make sure it comes up in your recap. There's a couple of TV shows that always did a good job with this, and I can't think of any off the top of my head. But for a long serial show, they were previously on whatever show I'm thinking of, they would show stuff from episode 1 and 2 when you're on 12. You're all right, this is going to come up today.
Something's going to happen here. Yeah.
Yep. 29. Sprinkle clues throughout your adventure. These could have information about treasures, monsters, history, people, locations, or anything else.
How else are you supposed to progress to the next part? Yeah.
Is amazing.
This seems like normal storytelling.
I'm going to reinterpret this as sprinkle clues throughout your adventure that are not necessarily part of the main story. Like for little side quests and things.
Sure, yeah.
Otherwise, you're just powering through. Having little side adventures is okay. You don't need to rush through the whole main storyline.
Probably better
Yeah.
if you don't.
Yeah, especially if you have things planned out pretty far, or if this is a book campaign where the thing is already spelled out. Maybe not spelled out, but at least it's there's a complete campaign there. Start alluding to things that are going to happen way later, if for no other reason that they can use that to progress the story. But when things do happen, it's like, oh, we heard about this like months ago, and maybe it's bugging them for a while.
And this is also a way to bring backstory in places where it's not necessarily immediately relevant to what you might be doing right that second. But, if somebody has something in their backstory about, like where they grew up or something like that, you can have somebody from that town show up in the adventure and just tell them, oh, hey, here's what's been going on in the village since you left, and then you plant that seed, even if it's not something that turns into an adventure.
It could just be nice, fun filler information.
Exactly. So, so that it also helps everything feel way less just kind of linear, just like, well, this is our quest line right now, and that's all we're worried about and everything we're focusing on. To have some of that stuff coming in like that, I think that's pretty smart.
All right, and the last one for today, number 30. During combat, tell the players whose turn it is and whose turn it is after that. This greatly speeds up combat. I was going to just tack onto it. Anything you can do to get the next players to have their turn pretty much ready is going to cut a lot of time out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the downside to my initiative on card system, is because then I've got that and people can't see it. But like when Josie talked about having a whiteboard, if you have an initiative system like that, the other thing that some DMs will do is if you're using a screen, they'll have folded index cards kind of tented across the top of the screen, and then just put them in the order that they go, so that the players always can look and say, oh, okay, I'm going 2 from now, I'm going 3 from now, I'm going next. So to have that, that's a vote in favor of any kind of passive system that lists who's going when, that everybody can see all the time. Because that's kind of a way to do that takes some of that heat off of you to remember to tell everybody who's going next.
So a couple of methods that I've seen recently, we play online mostly.
Yep.
And if you are using Discord or Zoom or anything with a chat, just type it all up once, copy paste it into the chat, and everyone can see the initiative order at all times. And just remind them, okay, when you're doing your recap, say, hey, we may be in a few battles today. Just make sure you are aware of where you are in initiative. Start off polite.
Oh, you know what? Actually, like a reminder of any house rules or table stuff that's in effect for that is a good thing to add to the recap. That's a really good point.
Mm-hmm.
That's not just story stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
I think the best thing Roll20 ever did was that initiative tracker. That is so nice.
Oh yeah, it makes life way easier when you're playing on Roll20.
And then for IRL games, I've seen the whiteboard. A lot of whiteboards are also magnetic. So I've seen little bits of dry erase magnets that you can put the character names on, draw a little picture of them, or draw whatever monsters it is, or put the big lair action or legendary action on it. And this way you have a physical thing that you can move around. This way if you have a surprise guy that's jumping in the fray, you can slip him in the middle of it. And that's something that's physical that every player can see.
And if you want something fancier, you were saying before, they sell a lot of them on Etsy that are really cool. There are ones that are just standard little wood blocks that you can move around. There's ones that look like fucking trees and shit.
That's going to be it for that block of them. Couple of misses today.
Yeah.
I think this one had the most misses
We
out
had
of all of the ones that we've
two
done.
pretty bad ones in a row.
A couple
And then
were
one that seemed pretty obvious.
don't DM. I don't want to DM no more.
Yeah, math is hard, and players shouldn't be doing stuff for you.
Yeah, I think further down the list, we may start getting into a lot more your mileage may vary type stuff.
Sure.
So,
however, we did get some really good ones. Lair actions on low level fights. memories flashing before your eyes, wigs and pipes and props and stuff like that. There was some really good stuff here.
Much like rounding up and down, it evens out for us in the end.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let the couple of misses take away from the fact that there was some really good stuff in here today. And if you disagree with us, let us know. You can find all of our stuff at curmudgeonanddragons.com. You can get in contact with us, curmudgeonanddragons.com/contact. Shoot us an email, send us a voice message. You can yell right at us. Also all kinds of things you can do. I think that's going to be it for today. Jim, Josie, Greg, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to Curmudgeons and Dragons. Please share this with your favorite adventurers. Leave a review on Apple and follow us on social media. All links can be found at curmudgeonsanddragons.com. Practice safe adventuring, my friends.
This has been a JTP Audio podcast. Thanks for listening.